old do you feel? I mean, how old do you feel? Just generally, more in your mind than in your body. Do you feel any older than you did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? I don't. And this is a good thing. Obviously, it's a really good thing. Obviously, I think we have, I don't know about you, but I have a different way of looking at life now than I did. I have different perceptions. I respond to life differently. I've got different feelings about life now, different expectations. But you're waiting for the day, in a way, I suppose, when you feel old. And yet it doesn't happen. Well, it happens with some people. It really happens with some people. And years ago, I thought I had a real kind of fear of older people, of elderly people. And I certainly wasn't a spring chicken then. But I just couldn't relate to older people. And I don't know. I didn't, it's not that I didn't like them, but I just didn't warm to them, to the idea of old people. And then and that used to worry me. And then I remember walking into a local hospital, and there must have been some particular clinic going on because there were a lot of old people in there. And it hit me. It's not being old or older that I fear or, I am repulsed by. It's old people, old up here. And this waiting area was filled with people who, they were like this, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. And I thought, that's what it is. It's becoming old up here. That's the thing. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean to say we have to, hang on to our youth. I've got a friend and he's in his 60s and he is still kind of trying to live the life of a rebel. But, he's not really up to it. And it's really a fantasy. Yeah, it's clearly a fantasy. And so, yeah, he's accepted on that basis. The way he is, the way he responds to life, the things that he does and he comes out with, is accepted on that basis. But he's kind of trying to hang on to the past, very, very, very much so. And there's a lot of anger within him. Now, we've all got anger. I've got plenty of anger, by the way. But he has kind of rewritten history so that, excuse me, I've got a stinking cold. Got my toilet roll. Never mind a posh box of tissues. Thank goodness for toilet rolls. If I'm going to sneeze again, I will pause this and then sneeze and blow my nose and come back to it. Very quick explanation. I did make a video about falling flat on my face, which actually nobody's watched. Well, 7 people have watched, but I think I watched it twice and my daughters watched it. So maybe 1 or 2 people watched it as well, outside of us. But anyway, I fell over, hurt myself quite badly. Not because I'm frail and old, but I was wearing a pair of Doc Marten boots that I'm really not used to. Trying to run along a rough pavement, tripped, fell, and really injured myself. This is kind of healing now. You can't see it really properly, but the bruise went from here to here. That really, really hurt. I cut both my hands and I landed on my already arthritic knee, my left knee, which swelled up like a little balloon or a little football, and was quite a horrible experience. Anyway, I was in so much pain, and I went to the nearest hospital to us the following day, to the injuries department, minor injuries, and the good old NHS in the UK. I just heard today of somebody that, I've heard of 2 different people today, that one elderly man who over this yesterday, who had been taken very ill, low on oxygen. The ambulance took 18 hours to come, and another person, an old lady who'd had a fall, luckily carers came in and found her, but in any case the ambulance still took 12 hours to arrive. So it is the way it is, certainly in this area. So, going to the hospital, there's generally long waiting lists. So it's a very non-joyous experience. But anyway, the minor injuries unit, not too bad actually. The wait wasn't very, very long, but they can't do very much. And they basically just said to me, well, there's no broken bones, so off you go. Off you go. Anyway, the result of that was I picked up a chest infection. Started in my chest and my head, and then over the last few days it's come out like that. So that was to add insult to injury. And is that because we're old? I don't know. Are we more prone to viruses when we're older? I mean, I take supplements every day, I exercise, I try and eat pretty well, but I've had 2 this year. So anyway, I digress there. So it's about feeling old and being old. And I think in a way we have to embrace it, don't we? We have to enjoy it, because it does bring a lot of, I don't know, perks is the right word, but there are a lot of qualities that I have, well, that I feel are qualities to being older. And I honestly, I can tell you, I promise with my hand on my heart that I do not want to be 20, 30 or 40 in this day and age. I could not bear it. I could not. Even if I could go back and not lose everything I've learned, if I could retain everything I've learned, I still wouldn't go back. It's really hard work. It's really hard work. If I could add, from this point of view where I'm at now, if I could add another guaranteed 20, 30 years ahead, then I think I might do that. I might. But given the state of the world, especially in the UK where I am, we're going through some very, very, very dodgy times in a lot of ways. And so the future is very uncertain and a little bit worrying. But you know what? It'll all sort itself out, because when you look back in the past, there have been awful times, haven't there? You know, each generation will have had some awful time to experience, and it ends up working itself out one way or another, and we end up moving on in a bit of a different way. But so I feel very sorry for the younger people. I mean, I really, really do. They're under huge pressure. You've got, the way social media is, the way the social climate is, the economy. There's a lot to feel sorry for them about as well. So you know what? It's not so bad being our age, is it? I've heard so many people say, well, I say our age, I'm 68, I don't know how old you are, but I've heard so many people say, oh gosh, I don't want to be, live to a good old age. And their assumption is they are going to be ill, they're going to be disabled, they're not going to be able to get about. That's what they assume. And so on that basis, then they say they don't want to live a long time. But I bet if all of a sudden they were faced with their own demise, that they might suddenly change their mind on that score. And, when I'm out and about, say I go to kickboxing, which I go to 2 to 3 times a week, and then I'm the oldest in the class and the shortest in the class, then, there are disadvantages to that. There are disadvantages to it, and I just have to overcome those disadvantages or work around them. But, you'll hear them, and they're younger, they're so much younger than you, and they go, oh, well, now I'm getting to this age. And I will say to them, how old are you? Oh, well, I'm 37. Right, so if you consider yourself old, what are you saying to me? What are you telling me that I should feel? I don't always say it in a defensive way, but I make a joke of it and go, well, if you're old, flipping heck, I maybe should be 6 foot under them by now. And of course, it's always a laugh. Or, those in their 50s, those in their 50s tend to do it a lot. Talk about their age, or, oh, I've reached this point now. And so I suppose age is, obviously the body ages. I've got arthritis in this finger, you might see it. It locks every now and then. So I might be holding a cup or peeling something, and it'll suddenly lock, and then it'll go ding, and whatever it is in my hand will flee through the air. I've had a new hip in 2022, but luckily I was pretty fit. I was still showing up to kickboxing every week with a very knackered hip, permanent limp. I don't know how I did it, but I did do it. Obviously, I couldn't go around kicking people in the head, but, I gave it my best shot. And I was back there I was back within weeks, you know, doing basic stuff, but then within months, I was, you know, with some care, I was kicking again. The knee, well, I'm on a list for a new knee, and so then when I landed on it heavily, and it was so bruised, the bruising was awful, even on the back of my knee, and it swelled up. I was in despair. I was in absolute despair. I thought I was just about managing with it, and now this. But you know, what happened is I forgot I had in the cupboard this little machine, and I remembered it. And it's like, do you remember the Slender Tone pads? Do you remember them? You put them on your belly or your bum or wherever, and they do that with the muscles. So it's not a tennis machine as such, I don't think, but it exercises the muscles. And I thought, I've got that. So I dug it. It's supposed to be for arms, but, you know, also for men and women. So then it's bigger, you know, with men having bigger arms. So I can get it round my knee easily. So I've been putting that machine, there's 2 straps, and I've been putting them both on one leg, under the knee or right on the knee, and above the knee where those muscles are. And I've been putting it up full blast, and I've done it several times a day for days. And you know what? Actually, my knee is a lot better. The swelling's gone down, and it's nowhere near as bad as it was. Having said that, I haven't been able to go to kickboxing for 2 weeks, which I've never done. I've never had a break that long before. So the proof of the pudding will be in the eating, as they say. When I go back, will I be able to? I can only test it out bit by bit. But my knee is actually now hurting less and is more mobile than it was before I fell over, and I think it's because of that machine, and I wish I'd thought about it sooner, because it's obviously working on the muscles. So anyway, there you go. So these are all, you know, these are all the dilemmas you face as you're getting older. They are, aren't they? This bit doesn't work, that bit's a bit stiff now, that bit's not hurting, this finger's flicking things across the room. Flicking the finger. Somebody will punch me on the nose. I'll be doing that one day. Sorry, I had to take a little break there to blow my nose. So, how old is old? When do we ever become old? I think either we always grow old in our mind way before we grow old in our body, because we can have an old mind and maybe a not so old body. We can have an old mind and an old body, or we can have an older body but a mind that is getting wiser, obviously through self-reflection, you know, wisdom. I always say wisdom does not come with age alone. Age alone does not guarantee wisdom. Otherwise there wouldn't be ignorant old people in the world, and there are ignorant old people in the world. And I've come across people in their 20s who have this amazing amount of wisdom somehow. It's kind of natural to them. And I have come across many in their 40s and 50s who, emotionally speaking, got stuck on a timeline way in their past. And I'm not dissing that, by the way, because it's a psychological thing, isn't it? But they got stuck emotionally there, and their body continued to grow older, and then they, you know, do adult things and have a family and a career and a home. But emotionally speaking, they got stuck there at some point in their past. And so I think really growing older is a very, very good thing if we are open to wisdom, if we are open to self-reflection, if we are, you know, if we can look at life more philosophically, if we can look at life humorously, but if we can also remember how difficult it is for younger people, because it is difficult, and, you know, not to expect them to see life the way that we do. Yeah, you know, when I'm hearing people really criticise somebody who is young, I will say, okay, they are really annoying. They're really annoying. But actually think back to when you were younger. I know that if social media had been a big thing when I was in my teens, 20s and early 30s probably, I would have been a blooming nightmare. I'm going to just have a dab here. I would have been a blooming nightmare. I know I would have been. I would have handled it so badly. So it's easy to get older and then think that we've always had this knowledge or this wisdom when we haven't. So it's not a one size fits all, is it? And I'm just going to share with you a couple of pictures of some of our friends who are all either in their 50s or 60s. Yeah. And see, I think we probably hang out with some crazy people because we are part of the motorbiking fraternity. And there are a lot of older people in the motorbiking fraternity. A lot, I can tell you. Yeah. But anyway, so I suppose the point of all of this ramble really is just to say, look, we are growing older every single day, and life becomes a lot more precious because of that, because we've got less time. Because, you know, I've sometimes thought to myself, because Christmas is a big thing in our family. It's a huge thing in our family. And we tend to go over the top. I start saving up, soon as Christmas is done, I start saving up for the following Christmas every month, putting some money to one side. And because that's what we like to do, you know. And I forgot what I was going to say next. I've rambled away. Oh, I know. I count it in Christmases, and sometimes I've thought, how long have I got left in this world? Well, the average age span in this world the Western world seems to be about 82, 83, 84. That seems to be kind of average. So if I'm 68 now, 78, 88, I might have, if I'm lucky, 20 Christmases left. Now my son never says anything, but my daughters will say, Mum, we don't want to hear any of that. You've got to live forever. You have to live forever. And I think, well, I'm going to expect myself to live a long time. I could live into my 90s. I'm going to continue to take the best care of myself that I possibly can. That's no guarantee. I know that's no guarantee whatsoever, but at least it's what I can do. And then just hope, because there's still a million things I would like to do and be and experience and in this world. And I'm sure you're the same. But on old people, don't you have friends or relatives who are old? Aren't they annoying? Aren't they just boring? And that is probably incredibly judgmental. But why does anyone want to be old up here? Why? I don't get it. There's too much life to live. So anyway, this channel is called Kicking My 60s, and I know I've just sat and rambled my head off through 18 minutes on here, and I'm going to edit it down a little bit. And so if you've stuck around through this ramble, thank you very, very, very much indeed. I appreciate it. And please like and subscribe. It would be great. I'd like to do a lot more. And I know that there's a lot of topics we can cover as older folk. There's a lot to talk about, isn't there? Anyway, thank you for tuning in. If you did tune in, if you didn't tune in, well, you don't know what I'm saying, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, bye for now.